Do you remember where?
You wore that ridiculous outfit? Yeah, we do, actually. That was in Riddick, the topic for today's trivia. This is the third part of a trilogy that started in 2000 with Pitch Black, which was Vin Diesel's big breakthrough. 4 years later, the sequel, The Chronicles of Riddick, arrived, but that bombed at the box office. Number 3 finally hit the screen 9 years after that one, in 2013. Due to the commercial failure of Chronicles, the budget for Riddick wasn't very big. So instead of only putting in more action and spectacle than the older parts, they actually went back to the series' roots and made a smaller film. Something that hardly ever happens these days. As for the plot, Diesel's title anti-hero is stuck on a remote planet battling violent creatures. But when he pulls an emergency beacon, a group of mercenaries arrive to hunt him down. The only problem is that Riddick might be a bit too skilled for them. So for the majority of the picture, he's just being a loner on a remote planet. The film is directed by David Twohy.
I never would have expected this in the sci-fi action thriller. And the fact that David Twohy was able to incorporate that and make that first act feel so kind of cool and dramatic, and you really got the sense that this guy was isolated, that this character was alone, was really challenging to play and fun to play.
To prepare for the role, Vin spent 4 months in the woods. One of the mercenaries is played by Katie Sackhoff, and she too had to go through some harsh preparations, albeit not as extreme as Diesel's.
For the most part, I worked out really, really hard. I tend to not lift very heavy. I tend to usually normally do a lot of cardio, and I love being outdoors and hiking and things like that for exercise. And for this, it was in the gym with very, very heavy weights for, a few hours a day. I mean, working out with some big guys like fighters and football players, and, lifting as heavy as I could to keep up with those guys.
How Riddick came to fruition is actually quite an interesting story. After Chronicles flopped, there were no plans for the studio to ever make a Part 3. Vin Diesel, meanwhile, had starred in The Fast and the Furious, but skipped Parts 2 and 3 of that franchise. However, in the third installment, Tokyo Drift, he did make a small cameo. Instead of getting paid for this appearance, he asked to have the rights back to his character Riddick, and Universal Studios accepted his demands. Some years later, Vinny wanted to make Riddick 3, but couldn't get it funded. Instead, he used all his personal savings and produced it himself. And when we say all, we really mean all. If they had gone over budget, it reportedly would have cost the star his house. Fortunately, the film became a success, and Diesel still has a roof over his head. In 2015, a 4th chapter in the saga was announced, as well as a TV show spin-off called Merc City. They were supposed to start shooting in 2017, but no one's heard anything since that first announcement. So it remains to be seen if we'll ever get to watch more of Riddick.
And 3, 2, 1, action! And cut.
Like what you see? Subscribe to our channel for more exclusive clips.